Greetings, pilgrims, and welcome to another episode of the Polygon Pilgrimage. And today we are beginning a three-part series on making buttons. So one thing that is very important in a lot of games is interacting with the environment. So we're going to start to delve into that world a little bit. So today we're going to make this button, make this lever animate. Pretty simple, but it's pretty easy. So let's go ahead and take a look at what we have and what we need to do. So what I have here is a standard character controller, standard light, and just a box for us to walk on. And this button, I know it's super fancy, has been made from two boxes, just one box on top of another, with a button material made for it. Pretty simple. Now this lever, which I'll provide in the downloads, is just a quick little model I threw together. And if you look at it in the inspector here it is. So I've scaled it appropriately based upon the magic number here for importing based upon inches. And I went to animations. It does have two animations, a lever up and a lever down. So very simple, from 0 to 30 and then from 35 to 65. So there's a 5-frame gap there, so be wary of that. But these are already set up for you. And the rig is set to legacy, and then we're all set. We bring it into the world. Here it is. So it is animated, but the animation will be triggered by our button. So if I play the scene at the moment, you'll see that it doesn't do anything yet. I click on the button, nothing happens. It's broken, oh my god. It's okay, we're gonna fix it, alright? So, to do this, we're gonna need to create a script. And as you can see here, of course, I've already created it, but we're gonna do it together, okay? So, I'm gonna right click and say create C# script, and I'm gonna call this script press button, since my other one is called button press. And I'm gonna launch it in MonoDevelop. And just follow along, it's really simple. This first one is very simple to fix, or to create rather, and it won't be hard at all. So let me launch MonoDevelop. Come on MonoDevelop, launch. Here it comes. All right. So this is a super simple script. So all we're going to do here is, yes, I'm that type of coder, so I have to fix all of these things. I wish there was an option for that. All right. So we don't need to do anything on start or update, but we are going to create our own new function. So just 2 enters down here and follow along. We can make void on mouse up. Now what this does is there are 3 options there for the on mouse. You can do on mouse click, or on mouse down, on mouse up, and on mouse hover. But we're going to do on mouse up. And what that means is not when you click it, but when you release the mouse is when the action actually takes place. Now on mouse click can give us some problems because, or on mouse down rather, because as soon as it comes down, it happens right away. So we want it to, you click and release, and then the action takes place. It feels a lot better to the player. Okay, so first, all we're going to do is we're going to check that we have the right thing happening. So we're going to do debug.log. We're going to send ourselves a message. So this is going to be called "You clicked me." Very simple, and with a semicolon. There we go. That's our script so far. So I'm going to build all, convert, yes. Build all, everything should be good. Yep, okay, we're all good. So now we return to our scene, and all we're going to do is we're actually going to put the script on the button, even though we're going to control something else, okay? So I'm going to go to my button here. I'm going to take press button and just drag and drop it over here. There it is, our script is applied. Now, if I bring up the console here, I'm going to clear this. I'm going to go to my game view and uncheck, or yeah, make sure maximize on play is not checked, so we can see the console here. And now when I hit play, I'm going to go into the world, and if I click on the button, you'll see here it says, "You clicked me." Okay, and it will happen every time I release the mouse. If I click and hold, notice it hasn't happened yet. As soon as I release, there we go. So, we know that we're hitting the button, and we have that target set. Perfect. Now I should mention that the reason that works is, you'll notice carefully, this button, its box collider is set to isTrigger. That's very important. So the isTrigger means this is no longer going to actually physically stop us from moving through the world, but it can receive our clicks. It is a trigger for a click. So if you needed something like this to actually physically stop you as well, you would have to make a duplicate of it, make it slightly bigger, and make the uncheck the not the collider, sorry, the mesh renderer, so it would be invisible, but leave the collider on, and with isTrigger is off. That way it will physically stop you, so then the button underneath will look and act like a real button. But for our purposes, this is fine, because this tower here that it's on blocks us just fine. Now, what we need to do is we need to have a way for us to affect this when this gets clicked. So let's go back to our script. This is pretty simple. Up here, we're going to set up some public variables. And what public means is that it can be accessed by other things in the game. So a public game object, so we're going to point to an object, and I'm just going to call it other. So this is the other thing that will happen when you click the button. Okay? Now, down here underneath our debug, we're going to keep the debug for now. I'm going to say other. So I'm going to access that other, and I want to get component of the other thing. So I'm going to get the animation, there we go. And I'm going to say play. And I happen to know that the thing is going to be called, the animation is going to be called lever. I keep wanting to say level. Lever down. Okay, it's a little complicated, but let's step through it together. It's really not that hard. I'm going to reach out to the other object, whatever other is set as, and you'll see we'll set it in a moment. And I want to get its animation component. And I'm going to tell that animation component, hey, go ahead and play an animation you have called lever down. Okay? So let's go ahead and build this. Should be fine. Yep, we're all good. Minimize. There we go. Click. Got some stuff here that's okay. We can clear that. That's from other things I'm working on. Now, what we have is we click the button again. You'll notice that now there's this thing called other, and it says none game object. Now, that says none because we haven't connected things yet. So if we look over at our button, you can see we have animation, and the default animation it plays is called lever down. Perfect, so that's what we want, but we don't want it to play automatically. Okay, so when we start the game, you notice the lever did not move yet because we don't want it to play automatically. We want it to play when we tell it to play. All right, so how do we do that? We click on our button, and in this other spot, I'm going to take the lever, I'm going to click and drag, and I'm going to drop it here. You'll notice it changes color to say, yep, you're good, and there's that little plus thing saying, you can add something here. So I'm going to drop that in there. And that's it. Now, through the magic of scripting, when I play the level here, as soon as I click this, it's going to reach into the other spot, which is this lever, and say, yo, tell your animation to play its animation. And it says, okay, cool, I'll do that. There we go. It played. Now, there is not a bug, but we haven't coded correctly yet, and we'll continue that in the next series. But if I click the button again, it's going to happen again, which means you'll see the animation jump. And it's jumping because we don't have logic in there to say, hey, if you're already down and you get a button call, then you need to come up first. So we'll do that in the next section, and then in a further section what we'll be doing is making this the actual button. So when you click this, it'll play the animation, and it can cause something else to happen. Even cause other levers to change their animations. It's pretty simple and pretty cool, but this is the standard start off point. And we can remove our debug. We know that it works now. Later on, I'd like to keep it in there until I know it works, just to pass messages to myself. But there we go. You've successfully made a button that plays an animation in the world. Now, this animation could be on a door or anything. It could trigger an event, all sorts of things. So this is the very powerful beginning. So this is just the first step, guys. We're going to do a couple more on this. Send me your comments, feedback, anything you'd like to see a button do, or any more complex button type things. But I've got a couple in plan in the works. So, as always, guys, keep practicing, get better, and I'll see you next time as the pilgrimage continues.